Hey, this is John again here for Heavy Duty Tape. I just want to take you through some of the basics of the graphic design tools included here with the Customize It software. So what we have here is we're on a custom floor sign page. We've chosen the square shape, and what we're going to do is jump into the customizer here to customize this design. And one thing you'll notice is right off the top, before you even get to the software, that there's a message here that says the gray shape on the canvas is your sign color. Click the shape, use the contextual menu to change its color. What that means is that you start with the base square shape that will be your floor sign. You can click directly on the canvas here on that gray shape to change its color. And when you do that, you are presented with a little toolbox of various different tools that you can use. Those are going to come in more handy here as I add some other items to the canvas. But to start, you can click on this area and click on this paint bucket tool and get a whole palette full of colors where you can change the base color of your floor sign to whatever you want. In here, we have just some basic colors that we have set up for you. If none of these match what you're looking for, you can always go into the color palette icon right here and click the plus button to add your own colors. So if you have company branding that's certain colors that you prefer to use for these, you can certainly do that. So for instance, we could, on the scroll wheel here, on the color wheel, we could go over to a yellow color and maybe find something that matches our heavy duty tape branding. That's up to you, but I'm going to pick something here that is just about in line with what we want. So there's my yellow color, and you can keep adding colors to this palette for your own use if you want. So if I wanted to add a black color, I could certainly do that just by picking it here. And then I can easily switch back and forth between yellow or black in my colors palette here, and that will save throughout the canvas here for you to use on other objects. So I'm going to make the background yellow, and we're going to move forward and add some things to the canvas. We're going to start with just a basic icon so I can show you some of the basic tools that you can use here. So an icon gets added to the canvas. The first thing you'll notice is that we have these handles that are around the graphic that I've put onto the canvas. These handles let you resize the image in whatever size you want. So you notice when you roll over them, you get these little arrows that point in the ways that you can resize the image. So for instance, if I were to use the lower right hand handle here and click and hold, you can resize this image perfectly to scale to whatever size you're looking for. You can go really big, or you can go really small. So for this one, I'll just keep it right here. If you want to squish the image and not keep it to scale, you can hold the shift key and grab onto one of these handles, and it will squish it and not keep it in line with the scale of the image. I actually don't want to do that, so I'm going to use this undo icon down here to undo what I just did. I'll go right back to the size it was. Some other things you can do with these handles, there is a circular handle up here that will allow you to rotate the image if you need some rotation. So you click and hold and drag in one direction or another, and it will rotate it for you. You could actually flip it totally upside down if you wanted to. And it will snap into place for common rotation angles, things like perfectly horizontal or 45 degrees or 90 degrees. So you don't have to get it perfect every time. It'll just kind of help you out there when you're rotating. But again, I'm not going to rotate this, so I'll hit the undo icon to go right back to where I was. Also notice when you're dragging elements on the page that you get these dotted pink lines. And what those do is they help you align whatever you're dragging around to align it perfectly to the center of certain areas. So for instance, this icon is perfectly in the center vertically in relation to the canvas. Now if I drag it over to the center here, you'll notice that I get another pink line that goes up and down. That tells me that it's perfectly centered horizontally. So right now, as I'm clicking and dragging this, those dotted lines mean that this icon is perfectly centered in the page. So that might come in use if you have a lot of items that you need to line up in a nice centered way. Now another thing we can do is we can use layers in this tool. So for instance, if I wanted to pick another one of these icons here and add it to the page, this would be a fire extinguisher. I can resize this and I can make it whatever color I want, so I can show you how layers work here. So let's just go pick another color like red. And you'll notice that the red icon has been placed over top of the black icon that I started with. Let's make these a little bigger to make this easier to show you. Now let's say we wanted the red icon to be beneath the black icon. Well, that's very easy. We have a tool here that looks like paper stacked on top of each other. That's actually to adjust what goes in front and what goes in back of certain items. And if you click on that, you'll get some arrows here. This arrow means that you're going to move it up a layer. This arrow means you're going to move it down a layer. And this double arrow and double arrow going up and double arrow going down means that you're going to go to the absolute front of everything or the absolute back of everything. So in this case, if I wanted to move the fire extinguisher to the back, behind the black icon, I'm going to hit this arrow right here, and it moves it right behind the black icon. Again, let's add another icon to the page. So we've got a third one here. I'll make that another color, make that green. So you'll notice that we have green on top, black in the middle, and red on the bottom. So if you want this red image here to come all the way up to the front, I'm going to click on this layer icon again. And this time we'll use the double arrow pointing up, means that we'll bring this all the way to the front. And there you go. It is all the way at the front of those graphics. And again, if you want to send it all the way back to the back again, it will do that. And then you can go in steps with these arrows here. So a lot of choice here where you can take your graphics and add them in any way you would desire. And again, any icon that you have here, you can get these handles and resize them and rotate them to kind of get exactly what you want. Now, back into this tool palette here, if you click on any of these items, you'll get some more tools here. For instance, you can get a cut icon. If you click on that, it will cut the icon completely out of the page. And then this paste icon down here will go ahead and paste it back in. You also have a delete icon, which will completely delete it from the document. Or if you want to get it back, you can hit undo. That actually has a duplicate there. We can go ahead and delete that. You could also adjust some brightness and some transparency here on these items. That's what this icon will do right here. Moving forward here, let's go ahead and delete all of the images that are on this page, and we'll go back to the start. Some more icons down here on the bottom that will help with your design. We have the plus and minus icons that will allow you to zoom in the canvas here a little bit bigger so you can see what you're doing. We also have a grid icon here that will help you line some things up along a grid. This will not print. This is just there for your guidance and lining things up. And then moving ahead here, as we move over to the text area of the design palette, you'll add a new text to the canvas. And down here it tells you that you need to click onto the canvas to add some text. So that's what we'll do. And again, we can center this up nicely, or we can resize it. Or we can select the text in here and make it a certain color. You can make it red or purple. You can also center up the text if you wanted to do that, or right align it. To see that really work, you would probably need to make the text a little bit smaller. So let's do that. And one of the things that you can do here is double click into the text. and create a text box where you are now doing multiple lines of text. So if you wanted to add in, say, heavy duty and tape, well, right now that is right aligned. You probably want it centered, so we'll go ahead and hit the center box there. You could also underline all of this, or you could set it to italics, or you could bold it, or you could pick a different font to something that maybe matches what you're looking for a little bit more. We have lots of different fonts here that you can choose from. There's a script font that might make a little more sense depending on what you're doing. You could also adjust the line height or the spacing, the line spacing. So you could increase the amount of space between the words or between the lines, or you can make it real small. And some of the same icons that we had for the graphics that I just showed you apply here as well. The layers icon works just the same. So if you have text that you want to bring to the top or to the bottom or underneath something or on top of something, you can very easily do that here. You also have a delete icon that takes the text completely away from the page. You could cut with this icon here. Again, you can change color if you want to. It's totally up to you. So that's a little bit about working with text. Usually on these, probably a best practice would be to, keep groups of text together that would make sense to be grouped together. But if you want different text boxes to have different settings on them, I would add that text separately. So say for instance, I want to do something different for each line of this text. I would add separate text boxes for heavy, and then duty, and then tape. Let's delete the one we created up here. And then we can control these independently so that you can have lots of different choices on how this text looks. So for instance, if I wanted this to be really big, I could do that. But if this text needs to stay smaller, we could do that as well. We would just adjust it to whatever we need here. Maybe change it to a different color. And same thing with this text box here. Make this quite a bit bigger. Maybe change the font. So that would be an example of some things you can do here with the text boxes. You can do a lot of stuff. You can have a lot of different choices for how your text appears on the page. So the next thing I'll do, you can select with your arrow and select everything on the page. So it'll select multiple text boxes here, and we'll delete. We didn't want to delete that there, but we want to delete the text here that we have on the page. So we can do that. And last thing I'll show you here is uploading your own logos. And this is actually pretty cool. It'll help you get your company branding in there very easily. We click on this icon up here that shows the icon of a person. I have a saved logo here from when I was working in here before. What I'm going to do is upload a couple of new ones. So that we have a few here. We have some black versions of our heavy duty tape logo, some white versions, and some full color versions. So just to give you an idea of how image formats work and things like that, so you can know what to expect. So if we were to add a JPEG image to this canvas, let's do the full color heavy duty tape image. And we've uploaded it here. You get the little ring icon that says it's uploading. And it will show you when it's ready here. There we go. So we add that in. Now you'll notice that the heavy duty tape logo that I've added is a JPEG image, which does not support transparency. What transparency would mean is that these white areas behind here would not show up, so that you can actually have the logo artwork showing directly on the canvas that you're working in. So most of the time, a JPEG image is probably not going to be best for what you're working with, unless it's a solid JPEG image that has color all the way to the edges here. So in this case, I'm actually going to pick a different format. You can use a PNG, although our color of our background here is yellow, so that this logo probably won't show up too well. So actually, I'm going to go over here and use a black PNG image. And PNGs do support transparency, which, as you'll see here, means that the background of the color will show through. And you can see right here, there's no white behind here. The background actually shows through the logo here. So this would be a perfect choice for this type of color scheme that we have going here. Another choice that you could use is an SVG image format. And if you don't have an SVG version of your logo, you could ask for your graphic designer or your marketing person there to help you out with that. It's a very simple process to get an SVG. Go ahead and hit open here, and SVG will be added to the page. And the difference here between this and a PNG is that an SVG you can make bigger and bigger, and you'll never lose quality. It's what's considered a vector image. So when we're talking about image formats here, it's probably a good idea to just play around to see what works best for your use. Pretty much any logo format that you have will work with our system. It's just a matter of what actually works best in the end and what prints best. And we'd be happy to work with you on that. So again, I'll go ahead and delete these. And you could also, using these undo icons, you could actually go back and go through the whole range of what we worked on here. You can see that it's going back through time of what we had. And continuing to hit this undo icon, goes all the way back to where we first started. So undo, as with most graphics programs, can be pretty helpful for you here. Right, so that should pretty much cover here the basics of graphic design here in our software. Again, if you have any questions or need any tips, please contact us using the Contact Us link right up here in the upper right-hand corner. We'd be glad to help out. Thanks.